Welcome back to the Dice Dragons Guild. In this hall, we unite under one banner. Live by the die.
Die by the die.
Oh, it's so much
better.
worse.
That was same number.
One better.
So bad.
Nice.
That
One
is
better.
so
I'll take
bad.
it.
Oh, at least one per. Okay.
Hey, last week
Somebody
I
over
rolled
there
a 2,
is
so
doing
I'm
better.
on that. My day, not everybody's day.
When last we left off, our party of intrepid adventurers had gathered at the edge of the Whaling Coast where the sands meet the jungle, having discovered the dead body of potentially an individual involved in the abduction of the wine-tailed langurs, the once protectors of Yimari Island, who have gone missing and or have been killed. The evening came to a close and night set in as you set up camp along the edge of the beach with your hermit companion, Cryon, Star Drifter, a Leonin, who had guided you both to the sanctuary and then to the Whaling Coast so that you could follow the clues left behind by the monkeys and their abductors. We now join you after a discussion amongst all of you with Iolite revealing a bit more about her troubled past and the mysterious shard embedded in her chest. And Ayla trying to determine what the next step should be. Go to Mosswick, and then further on to home in Summerland, go back to Balsted, go to see Yimari. Then we rejoin you in the morning after a long, somewhat troubling night of listening to the quiet but then ever-changing wails from perhaps spirits out in the ocean of the Whaling Coast. And you all gather your things. And which direction have you decided to go?
We're gonna go see a god.
Okay.
There's a movie reference in there, but I can't think of it.
So what is your plan? Are you heading? All right. So if I pull back up the map of Yimari Island,
Assuming we'd have
you're
backtracked.
somewhere over here. You can go straight to or attempt to go to the Yimari hot springs and then cross over the bridge that they have that leads to Balsted. And then go up into Mount Yimari from there. You can try to get back to the road or backtrack exactly where you went, going back to Cryons and then going with Kaylin. It's really up to you.
Is it foolish or foolhardy enough to follow the coastline over to Yimari Mountain?
No, because then we'd have to go up north.
Yeah,
in
we'd be
order to go
tripling the
back.
distance.
True, but
It's
we wouldn't
not-
be trekking through dense jungle.
Right, so you could do that, but it is not beach. So like where you're at right now is more beachy and sandy, but then you begin to get to rocky cliffs, drop-offs, that kind of thing, and then once you get closer to the mountain, it becomes a lot more... I mean, either way, if you're going up the mountain, what you do know and what you do recall is that Kaylin had said that she does periodically, rarely, make the trek up Mount Yimari because there is a waterfall of sorts that you can get the holy water, or what they claim to be holy water, that they sometimes sell to tourists and whatnot. So there is
There's some $5 water.
there is a way to get there, but you have never been, so
So there is like a route then that is sort of like a well-traveled way up the mountain versus like if we came from a certain side, we would be like climbing something kind of.
So she had described it as not necessarily well traveled, but traveled before. Up to a certain point, it's fairly easy, and then you gotta climb up. And she's done it by herself or with one or two other folks.
Sucks we can't get her to come with us.
No, we're sending her back.
We need her for too many things.
Do any of us have this map? Do any of the
You do
tourists?
not.
Did anybody of the tourists pick up a map when they
King
got off
Richard's
the
Fair
boat?
map?
It's like,
When you enter, they're just kind of like all on.
I'm
a
more
post.
showing this as this is what Ayla knows.
right,
Yeah.
but also I'm just. If we were like sitting there looking at a map together, I was.
You
just
could on
wondering
the
that,
sands
but
kind of
just-
draw out the basic rough shape of Yimari Island.
Okay, let's say I do that. This
Mhm.
is roughly drawn out in the sand.
Right.
So again, the options are as the voice in the sky said. I do not know which will be the easiest.
There are also, and you would know this being from here, you would kind of know this as well, so the two of you. There are holy folks, there are temples in Moswick. There is actually a pretty large temple in Moswick. Oh, let me get my, alright, find the right mouse. There is a large temple in Moswick called...
How long does it take to travel from one end to the other on like horseback?
You could make the trek on horseback if you were running from like one all the way end to the other, and you stayed on the road. You could do it in a day. Walking, leisurely along the road, without taking any breaks, you could do it probably in like a day and a half. So it's not a very big place. It's more once you get to the darker, more densely packed areas, it can get a little tough if you're not on the road.
We're nowhere near a road. We're on
Yeah.
this coastline, so it's like we either go around the jagged coast, we go back through the dense, monster-filled jungle. Not to say there's no monsters on the coast.
There's the Temple of Jubilation. The Temple of Jubilation is
That's in Moswick?
in Moswick, and it is a temple that is primarily to the Woven Sons, the siblings, Yimari and Chantia. So the Yimari and Chantia being two of the demigods here, lesser gods, but there's also that.
Rather cut out the middleman. If we're gonna talk to God, we talk to God
We
directly.
go straight to God.
Send you straight to God. Let's just hope we don't get lost on the way.
I guess we would ask Cryon what he thinks is the best course of action.
Cryon never gives straight answers.
I know. But Cryon
DM,
goes
which
like,
direction should
thing.
we go?
DM, don't provide us with a hermit who knows these areas.
He doesn't really. No. He knows a little bit.
So our options are go straight there or schlep back to Moswick with Kaylin. She delivers that letter.
I don't
We
think
would be with
Kaylin's
her.
gonna go to Moswick if
Or-
we're going to Moswick, because I'm pretty sure
We
Balsted
could
is
take
like
it ourselves.
is
Oh.
like her where she primarily lives.
So she would be taking our
We could
letter
cut
to
back-
Balsted.
You also were technically sent. So to recap, when you left Balsted, there had been an assassination. They gave you the choice, like, what are you gonna do, or how can you help us, basically. You chose to go with Kaylin to go try to find the hermit who may know how to get to the monkeys so that you could find them. So you've done that. The Steward Adrio, the Valiant, the Cassian Guard, and Balsted Hammer are all at Balsted, kind of waiting for you, or someone to come back to tell them what's up. You could skip them. I mean, just throwing it out, like you could skip them and go to Moswick, because what is likely to happen is that they are going to communicate with Moswick, because the issue right now in Balsted is that there is a handful, a dozen we'll say, soldiers here. There are hundreds of civilians who need to get out of here. And they have to make it from Balsted to Moswick with 10 soldiers to help them. There could be other folks there that are able to help, and you've been gone for a couple of days, so things have happened while you've been gone, obviously. But the challenge that exists in Balsted is that they're trying to communicate to Moswick what people know. Who knows what's going on in Moswick? You haven't been there. But there are a lot of folks who are trying to get there, some of which may have probably already left and are going to try on their own. You have at least 2 countries who have sent ambassadors who are in Balsted, who don't want to be there anymore because there was an assassination. So how are they going to get to Moswick, or have they already left and are going to try to make it?
So I was right the first time, goddammit.
No, she said go to Balsted.
Well, all I'm saying is you can do whatever you want. But Kaylin, if you send her to Moswick, would likely end up going to Balsted first, because that's where her boss is Adrio. So skipping the chain of command to go to Moswick might be...
And then the word would travel to Moswick anyway.
Right.
Likely, if she
Adrio you had heard from Amaret and Dan Perler that Adrio has a sending stone. And it seemed as though on a daily basis he does all clear, like his typical all clear, had done that the day of the attack. And so therefore couldn't then communicate to Moswick that shit was going down
So
in
if
Moswick.
we head back with Cryon and then take the road back to Balsted, and then solve, the information problem, then it's out of our hands. And then we can go to Mount Yimari.
Makes sense. And Kaylin will maybe help us with that, or maybe not.
You could also tell someone else to go to Mount Yimari. It's all in your, all these options.
Hey, Kaylin,
because,
go to Mount Yimari.
well, because, as far as you're aware anyway, in Balsted is an ambassador from your country and her family who want to get out. Maybe they've already left, maybe they haven't, but there is also an ambassador from country that your country is not friends with that also wants to get out. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of options, but you can do whatever you want to do. But those are the things that that are happening right now.
Totally, honestly, like that whole assassination angle is like had slid out of my mind with all this monster stuff going on.
Oh, really? Even after you just fucking exploded that dude's fucking chest cavity?
It was a one shot.
But that was like 2 months ago, though. Can't remember all that.
It was a couple weeks ago.
It was like a
It
solid
was
month
about a
ago.
month ago now.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Well, my revised vote, changing it for the 3rd time, would be that. Head back with Cryon, pick up Kaylin, head back to the road. She can guide us back if necessary through the woods. If the road is too dangerous for some reason, back to Balsted.
And then do what?
If all signs point that way, to Mount Yimari to talk to the goddess herself.
Okay.
What do you two think?
Sure.
Well, No matter what we do, we need to get word back. Kaelin knows the quickest way. I think we should go back to Balsted. Have them send word to Moswick.
Let's make haste then.
Is that okay with you, Cryon, if we travel back to your home to pick up Kaelin?
Please do.
Get her out of my
The
house.
stench of
She's
human.
probably touching everything.
Who knows what she's left in my litter box?
I will be heading back that way, regardless. Irregardless. All right, so you pack up your stuff and are heading.
Do you want some crabs for the road?
Grab some crab.
Try to
crab
grab some
legs.
crab. Want to try to grab some
Road.
crab?
Road crabs.
Road crabs. On the board, road crabs.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
All right.
Are we actually going to do that?
No, we're not. I don't want to eat fucking rations all day.
So we mage hand some road crabs.
Well, you can take your time, and how much time do you want to spend getting crabs?
Probably about
For me and him, about 7 minutes
I was gonna say, it
combined.
didn't take very long to get crabs.
Combined
so,
about 7 minutes. Right, we got this.
30 minutes at most.
How many rounds are you trying to do, pal? Jesus, 30 minutes.
I want to make sure I have enough. Enough to share.
Oh, you'll get it. We're having two different conversations.
No, we're not.
So the two of you, yeah, the crabs were really good. They were very tasty, very sweet, yet savory. So you spend a few minutes gathering additional crabs off on the side. Is anybody doing anything while that's going on? Just kind of packing up.
Are you lifting up the rock with a mage hand, or are you grabbing the crabs with a mage hand?
I'll just fucking scoop a big chunk of the sand up and just start dropping the crabs.
That's not how.
Yeah, because they burrow in the sand, so you just fucking scoop up their burrow, and they're like, ah!
Eldon thought he was gonna go like crabbing, and now he's just watching him do that, and he's like, "This isn't as fun as I thought." He's over there like picking up a rock. Like, ha! Not this way.
And I'm just,
So as they're doing that and you all are cleaning up, Cryon is he approaches Kethra while they're doing their thing. And just very kind of quietly just takes you aside to help with the gathering of some bed rolls and whatnot. And then looking at you just kind of pets or reaches out to pet Nix, a fellow feline. Just a little scritch. And looking down at you, says, "To be a seer, it is a very heavy weight to carry. How are you transitioning with this responsibility?"
I don't know that I have started to transition yet. I'm still trying to settle with it, but I can tell it's going to be a lot.
It will be.
Awesome.
Lean on them. These are well, I will not presume to know who your chosen family are, but he looks very quickly around at everyone as they're all gathering, and these two are like,
I'm sending Theratrix to pick him up. After I pick up a rock, and he swoops down and.
This is a good family to have.
I think so.
You are lucky. I envy you.
Thank you. I wish you had the same.
I did once.
I'm sorry you lost that.
Well, I gained Gerard.
What okay. Kethra just goes, okay. I'm like, what the hell's a Gerard?
Gerard is the cat.
Yeah.
Cat dog.
She's
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Gerard is my cat dog. I have it.
I just see like a bigger cat dog
dog.
come up.
Gerard,
Meet
Gerard is my
must be.
partner. You understand this, yes.
No disrespect, me. No disrespect, me. Intended.
So he he just kind of looks and smiles a little bit. You are in good hands with them, but
Because we're like, fuck, one got away.
Crash down.
Your dragon's fighting with a seagull.
but you are in an unusual position, as you will see their secrets before they are able to be comfortable sharing them, and that is a heavy weight. That is the complication of seeing.
It seems so. Do you have any advice for me in the future? With this new ability?
Don't try to make their secrets your own. You will all need to trust and communicate, or you will not be successful.
Thank you.
And I do wish you all good luck.
You as well, Chiron. Stay safe.
Use your bad cards to call off the seagulls.
Do we get to... Should I roll a performance check for that?
Sure.
It's
Is that a 3?
if it was a one, you just made a walrus
So
noise.
11.
11?
So it doesn't do anything.
Well, an 11, I would say, like, you're pretty decent at your bird stuff for some reason, we decided. So,
I know, I was going to say, I don't know why that came about.
Everybody has a random hobby.
yeah.
I don't know why that came
You
about.
kind of started talking to birds the first episode, so are you trying to get them away from you or towards you? Because
Call them towards us.
Oh no, they can't take our catch.
you just start seeing seagulls that do that annoying hover thing where they're just like hovering over all of you, and Cryon's looking at both of you and just then looks back at you and like,
Eldon is giggling and just kind of like doing that, like, running away with his little bag of crabs leaving you.
and then you
My
hear
mage hand is swapping them away.
you hear like a as then they start to call others, because now there's crabs that you guys have kind of dropped, or ones that were like half dead that you're not keeping. But yeah, you just gather the rest of your things.
Nyx runs out of the bag and tries to run at the seagulls and scare them off. Get away!
This morning's taking longer than 30 minutes.
I just wanted to try to get you pooped on by a seagull.
That's reserved for whatever the fuck your last character's name was that I forgot.
Ark got shat in his eye.
Ooh.
By another PC.
Yeah, by Annie, who was playing Micaiah, who decided that she was going to turn into a seagull. She wild shaped into one. And I don't know how.
She tried
or
to
why.
poop on the captain for some reason,
And
even though you
rolling
guys
that
liked the
one,
captain.
yeah.
Shit on your eye.
And I was just like, hey, what is it? What is that white cloud? And why is it getting closer?
Reminds me of that TikTok where the girl's like, yeah, and it shitted in my eye. Did you ever see that one? It was fucking funny. She'd wear an eye patch. And everyone's
Oh,
like, what
man.
happened? She's like, a bird flew over and shitted in my eye. That's exactly what she said. I was like, what? You remember that one, right?
The proper term is shit.
And I was like,
Is it shat?
Shitted? Oh, I think it's
Shot.
both.
it was
Shit.
funny. That she was like,
Shit
it shitted
happens.
in my eye. I was like,
Shit
what is in your eye?
And this is the quality content that everyone is tuning in and
Hi,
subbing
you
on our
keep coming
YouTube
back.
for.
Shit,
Tune in
shat,
next week for more.
The grammatical use of shit.
For shit, shat, and
I mean, I think
fuckery.
we're-
Shit, chat,
the first time in weeks we're like filling up the board with some quality.
Road crabs for the win.
All right, so you head into the jungles. Let's get some more jungle sounds, right? else we do here?
We need to
I know
play
that
the-
context, that without context thing. Spoilers without context has to have like a big crab walking across the road. One of those coconut crabs.
Ooh, they're scary.
I will have somebody roll. We'll go with a D8 as you head back into the jungle. The sun's shining.
4.
Middle of the road. Good. Middle of the road.
All right, roll me a D6.
Oh boy. 3. Another middle of the road.
Okay.
We need the Jurassic Park video game adventure music for when we're trekking through the woods.
Every time I hear this, it makes me think of when they're out in front of the Tyrannosaur paddock. Every time, without fail. It's like the perfect.
We're gonna try to tempt the Rex, folks. Hold still.
So you all continue on, and as the minutes become hours, you all feel the heat of this day. Even under the canopy of the sleeping wilds, the heat starts to become unbearable as the woven suns get higher and higher in the sky, and it gets to a point where you all start to kind of slow down, and you are drinking a lot more water than you had been the other days.
I have resistance to fire damage. Does that help in any way?
Yeah, I mean, it does help. And you live here, and you've lived here your whole life. So but there's also a point where, like, when you live in a place like this, you know the days that you shouldn't travel,
The days to stay inside and AC.
Yeah, right. Like it's not like, oh, I'm resistant to this. It's like, oh, this is a day that you stay home. But you don't have that luxury. So you all are much slower than you had been.
It took us 2 days to get to this whaling coast, right?
It took you you stopped at the sanctuary, so it is the 10th of Glee right now. I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw.
It's cold. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
that in.
Yeah,
Real
yeah.
quick.
I'm with you. That was really bad.
Okay.
No better. Okay. I got one better, so
All right, starting over
You
here.
guys all did.
16.
16.
16.
Hey.
I rolled a base 16, but I have a +3, so 19.
Nice.
20.
Okay.
Nice.
8.
hey,
Do we have to carry you?
probably.
We'll make like a
So
litter and carry you. Like,
you're all
Sorry.
moving very, very slowly as you go. It's like there are points where it's not even that the sun is getting to, it's that just like, it's like being in a sauna underneath this canopy.
Eldon's
not
taking
the
that
heat,
black
it's the
cloak
humidity.
off and like stuffing it in his bag and just like.
And there's points where, like, when you're walking along and you can see where the sun is broken through the canopy, and you all are just kind of like scoot around, like like when you're on a hot walk and you're in the shade, and then you can see the sun, and there's like no shade, and you're like trying to calculate how long that walk is going to be before you get to the next area of shade. That's all of you, but Cryon, you see with his heavy mane and he's wearing a lot of layers in general, which seem to have, even though he's wearing a lot of them, he hadn't really been overly impacted by this heat. But Cryon and Kethra, both you take a level of exhaustion, so you're at -1 for all your rolls, as you were just having a rough time. You all have to take a lot more rest and drink a lot more water. And I'm going to have you roll one more d8 as you're going, just to see what other...
This way or that way?
Whoever.
It's a 1.
I'm gonna have you roll a d6 as well.
No. The day gets hotter.
A 6. So that's gonna be something like extreme.
So you all continue on. It is a very, very unpleasant day, but as you're going, Cryon, at a certain point, lets you know that you probably could have made it back to his home by a lot sooner, but he thinks you'll get there like in the evening. Sun's already going down type thing. In several more hours, you have to keep taking stops and resting and drinking. I would say roll me a roll a d4, somebody. And odds are one thing and evens are another.
4.
Okay. You are able to make it through the jungle for this day without any issues other than the heat. Like, the heat seems to be keeping...
Even the fly monsters are
it's pretty rough. Every once in a while you pass some kind of like very small lizard, and it's like underneath underneath a leaf, trying to like cover itself from the sun. The bugs are a little bit worse in some areas, but then thin out, and then you can hear the birds, but you don't really see many of them. Like, everything is staying inside today. As we
walk, I'm gonna have Theratrix on my shoulder. I'm gonna say something to him in like his head.
Yes.
lizard.
And I'm gonna kick him in the air. Just sail over to Iolite and land on her shoulder and kind of do like the head bump thing, and then he's gonna flap his little wings. Just like for like a minute.
I'm like,
just like to try to cool her off. You know what I mean? And then he can hop back. I'm trying to give him directions in the head. I'm like, just play it cool.
Like, really fast at first, and then it's like...
Slow it down. No, faster.
Basically, yeah.
Right, there's good. Yeah.
thanks, buddy.
Jesus. And then after a minute, he can fly back.
Okay. You all begin to see that the suns are starting to set by the time, and it is like a welcome sight. It's almost like every time you look up, you're like, come on, guys. Like, keep going. And eventually, they are. It's starting to get darker, and the heat is beginning to somewhat lessen. At this point, though, it's kind of like that heat and that moisture and like just oppressive, heavy air is getting trapped under the canopy. But at least there's no little areas of sunlight to try to dodge and weave around. Hold on. Where did my d20s go? And as you are continuing on, you all stop as you begin to hear this like crunching and crashing within the jungle around you. You all have to kind of stop and just determine like which direction it's coming from. Cryon stops, and you can start to hear the jungle is coming alive a little bit more as the suns are going away. But this sounds a little bit more, it's like a larger crash, a larger crunching of leaves and snapping of branches, and you all steel yourselves for a moment, getting ready for the inevitable, as from out of the brush, 2 large, tentacled boar mamas begin punching through the jungle.
Do we have time to
And
try
accosting.
to hide? Because we
Um,
hear it coming.
you can certainly try.
I
Are
think
you all
we
going to
should
try?
all
You're all going to go
hide.
stealthy? All right. Everybody roll a stealth check.
Oh, I would like to use Pass Without a Trace for everyone.
And you have -1 on all your rolls.
So plus.
What's he doing? Pass without a
Pass
trace?
without a
That gives
trace,
us a
you
plus
add
10.
Plus 10.
It gives everyone plus 10.
So
Nice.
Plus 10, and then whatever your stealth bonus. So plus 12. 17 as well. Plus 18.
oh, good. That went from good to bad. What was it? 17.
All right. We'll start over here.
16.
16,
23.
23,
31.
31,
29.
19.
19. Okay, Crown rolled a 27. Let me-
Would you roll
16.
Nice. No, that's good.
Yeah, good. I started with a 5. Yeah.
It's okay.
I was like, yes.
Totally good. That pass without a
Hopefully
trace
good
is...
enough. 'Cause otherwise
That
I was
pass
like,
without
yeah.
a trace is huge in situations like that.
Otherwise, I was going to be sitting there like a little kid playing hide and seek.
Max,
Cover your eyes. Just cover your eyes. Like,
Max does
hide
that.
it. It's like, what?
I can't see you. You can't see me.
She's gonna be 2 and but she plays hide and seek, so she counts to 10. So she does this, and you see her little hands, and you just see her looking at you as she's counting. I'm like, no peeking.
Giada would do this where we go to like we would go hide and seek, and I'd be like, all right, I'll count, and I'd watch like this, and I'd see her run and turn her back and go like this and hide in the wall, and I'm like, I can't find her anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like goofy. She was so cute.
Max kind of does the same thing, except she doesn't hide like that.
Yeah.
She just runs to a different room and stands in the middle of it, like I'm supposed to sweep at each room until I find her. But she just stands in the middle like this, looking at the door.
I just always find Gianna like face against the wall.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like if I close my eyes and my face isn't facing you, you'll never see me. And I'm like, where'd she go?
I can't believe Max is gonna be 2.
It goes by quick, doesn't it? You blink and they're like borderline adults.
How many rolled over a 20?
I don't know what I said, but I looked at it wrong. I have a 23.
Okay. So 3.
I was 19.
And Cryan had over 20. Okay.
Thank you, Iolite.
Don't say thank you yet.
So you all scatter, but not too much because you have to be within the 30 feet of Iolite. So you kind of like get behind
Big leaf.
behind leaves, behind tall trees and other greenery, and off of the path that you've kind of been hacking or had found where you had walked before. And you see charging out of, or through the jungle, not even out of it, just through the jungle, there are 2 large boar mamas that are just bulging and pulsating in different areas. The tentacles are like kind of all over the place, protruding from their mouths. There's a strange squeal. I wonder if it will work if I play it. It might interrupt me in a second.
This is nightmare fuel. This is nightmare
They
fuel.
both just kind of like crash through, and they stop like right about the area where you all were gathered a moment before, and you can see like one of them, the tentacles go all the way back into it. Not really sure where they go. Like it's almost like there's not enough space in the mouth, so it has to like go deeper in. But they all just go back into its mouth, and then it begins doing that like deep
Oh, the snuffling. The
yep,
snuffling.
of the ground, all where you all were
Snuffling for
were
troubles.
standing a moment before. The other one just like trots off a little bit further, crunching through easily where you've been like hacking through, just going further in the direction of where you were headed, and then turns around, kind of goes back. There's just, you're all together being quiet on the side as it's just like doing this like all around.
I'm gonna use thaumaturgy. So if we're hiding here and they're, say, here,
Yeah, they're like maybe 20 feet away from you.
I'm going to 30 feet away have make a sneezing sound.
Right. I'll have you do a let's do performance.
Since I have taumaturgy and since I see what she's trying to do, could I help?
I would say
I only ask because I have taumaturgy also.
you can do something separate unless you guys are talking about, because
Yeah,
you would make a
trying to be
sneeze
quiet.
or you could do something else, but you wouldn't know what she's doing until
Okay.
it kind of happens.
Gonna throw that in. It's a reroll, right?
Inspired action, yeah. So what are you
Um,
doing to inspire yourself?
I'm much better than what I just did.
Let's hope.
That's a nat 20
Nice.
for a plus
Whoa.
8,
You are
so
much
28.
You are much better.
Really convincing sneeze.
I am much better than a 2, which was still
So
at a
you
plus
build
8.
best
Great
sneeze.
fake sneeze.
Yeah, it sounds. I only made you roll because on like a insight / perception check, they
My
roll
nat 20 is a
pretty
little
high.
number
So you hear this you all hear this sneeze, and there's a moment, honestly, for everyone except for you, where you're like, oh shit, there's someone out there.
I'm gonna. None of you have heard my stepdad sneeze, but this is my stepdad sneezing,
Don't do it right into the-
which
don't do it right into
which
the
was not like
microphone.
a chew. It was a. Ah! That was how he sneezed.
My dad
Sneezes.
sneezed pretty
Pretty sure
it was the kind of sneeze where I would look at him and be like,
That's not a sneeze. You're just,
Right, it's like,
That's
are
the
you
best you could do.
okay?
you're
You
just
can't
using,
stifle that at all.
you're just using
I
it
didn't
as
even
an
make that
excuse.
sound when I cracked my toe.
every time he would sneeze, I'd be like,
I think it's something that happens.
Really?
Though, to, when dads get too old.
this is
It's that same thing when it's
and
like
I'm like,
when you hit a
can't-
certain point,
you
you can't
can't-
just get up.
you can't like,
You gotta make a
you
noise.
can't arm pocket it or anything.
Dad girl.
make it not that loud.
Like my dad, and I'm
My
like,
dad,
can
you lived
germ
with me, you
pocket
heard
it
my
just
dad
to, like
sneeze.
stifle it just a little
For no
bit?
fucking
Your
reason.
voice off and
Right.
then sneeze.
So the rest of you were like, fuck, there's somebody out there. But immediately, also the one that was like snuffling on the ground and the other one that had kind of trotted off, you see they like whiplash, like their heads turn in that direction and the tentacles come out so fast. It's like, and then they run off in that direction. And you hear them like, are you only doing the one?
I mean, I could take like 5 to 10 feet closer and then do it another 30 feet further away.
Whatever you want. I'm just asking. Are you doing only the one, or how much time are you buying your team, basically?
I'll take it 10 steps
Okay.
in their direction and then cast it again further, another 30 feet out.
I am gonna I'll put it this way: if you move out from where you're at, and I'm gonna have you make a stealth check again.
All right.
Okay, so go ahead and do that.
Can I
Actually,
guide?
still
Can
have
I guide her?
Pass without a trace.
Yes, you can guide, and you get the pass without a trace.
Now, never mind.
That's not much better.
I was
You
gonna.
get a D4.
You get a D4.
You get a D4, and you get pass without a trace, so plus 10.
I was gonna say now that I saw what she was trying to do, I was gonna try to help, but the die is cast.
18.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so you step forward and send another very loud, and you can hear everyone, you can all hear the crunching and crashing of like all these broken branches as they're continuing on. It seems to have worked for now. And Cryon looks at all of you and is like, we must go. Quietly or quickly.
Let's try and put some distance. Stay quiet.
All right, so you're gonna go.
Go like
agree.
quickly.
So if you go stealthily, you move slower. If you go quickly, obviously you move more quickly, but you're loud.
I say we move quietly for a time and then fucking run.
Okay. All right. So you begin continuing on in the direction. I'm gonna have one more stealth check from everybody this time.
Pass Without a Trace is an hour, so
Yeah.
we would still have it, right?
Jesus.
It's fucking 18.
Is that 18?
I love having nice.
I know, I get it
Stealth.
once a day for
Yeah.
being Earth Genasi.
33.
Woohoo!
I couldn't hold it in. I get so
Very
happy with those
exciting.
rolls because like I get so happy when it's like
Plus
We'll
10.
do a
30,
zigzag.
yeah.
33,
13. This
13. Okay.
20.
22.
28.
Okay.
Nice.
I fucked us.
You're too busy doing the
All right. No, you're okay. There was far more successes than even with the. So there's 1, 2, 3. Cryon rolled in that one. So
Oh shit.
yeah. So
So he
There's-
really made that noise because he stubbed his.
Yeah, I stepped on
Stepped
his.
his paw.
Yeah, I stepped on his tail.
even as a group roll, it was 4 successes and 3 failures. So you're good. So you continue on, kind of listening out, but not stopping, listening for the boars. But you continue, and as the suns are setting, you begin to get to a point where Cryon is now directing you of where to avoid his traps. There is one trap that you come across that is one of those,
Snare.
snare. There's a
I
word.
got that from when we did this.
Snare.
Yes, a snare.
I was going to use many more words to describe it.
Trap.
A trap with the rope where they go in and they trigger it and then they go flying up. It's a snare. So you come across one of those and there is a dangling, no longer living, one of the little half-formed pygmy boar things with like the tentacles just kind of hanging down out of its mouth. It almost looks like when a baby rat, it's just the skin, like no fur has grown, but it's a boar.
pinkies.
Yeah, like
Like a jelly bean.
yeah. It's bigger than that, but it's kind of like that gross, wrinkly kind of thing.
Just a big gooey jelly bean.
That's gross.
Cryon ignores it and just continues on, but that's there. So you eventually, or that evening, or as the suns are setting, come back to this very familiar tree. It blends in with everything else until you get up close, and then you can see, like, underneath that big canopy is the home of Cryon. Nothing much has changed. The slime trail that is still there has not changed. It's quiet and it's dark here. There's the only indication that you have of like folks being here is yourselves from just very recently. So he says, I will go up and retrieve Kaelin. You are welcome to sleep below the tree. I fear I cannot offer you any protection from what lies out here.
We are used to that at this point.
Okay.
This is where the start stream comes in and you have to pick a new party member.
So he heads over to his tree, and there's a little whisper that you can hear, and then you see the pegs that kind of come out from the tree that allow him to go up. So he heads up into the thing. You hear him go, Gerard! So he's like, starts heading.
Give me a kiss.
I know. Now I'm just thinking about it being his partner.
Not his partner. Not canon.
There's no bestiality in this game. I mean, there's a cat.
He's a cat.
Man.
No,
Man part.
he's a Leonin. This is a cat dog.
I mean,
No.
it's flavor.
No. So as you, he goes up into the tree, and it takes a couple of minutes, but then you see Kaelin comes down. She's like looking at all of you. She's coming down the pegs. Your half-elven friend with the pixie cut auburn hair. She comes down and is like, glad to see you. Glad to see you made it.
Thank you. How
Cryon.
was your tree fort stay?
It was good. Yeah, Gerard is a good conversationalist, and we connected on a lot of things. I'm just kidding. He doesn't talk to me. But it was good it was creepy up there, actually.
Did anything else pass through here?
Yeah, there were things that passed underneath.
You saw them.
I did not see them. Was not interested in seeing any of them. I heard them, but I didn't see anything.
Well, we will be making camp here, and then heading back to Balsted.
Yeah.
We have much information. From there, we are going to go climb the mountain and speak to Yimari.
Okay, you've decided to do that. So
You do not have to come with us.
we'll talk about it. Cryon gave me this. I don't know if he was supposed to. It shows the letter.
Yeah, we had other plans, but
I'll take that.
I can give it back to him.
no.
Not necessary.
Fine.
All right. Well, he didn't really say much. I was kind of saying bye to Gerard because I figured I would be leaving soon, unless we're staying another night.
It is probably not best to travel the jungles at night.
All right, I will be heading back up there. But what is the plan?
Oh.
Or what did you find out?
The monkeys are dead and missing, and kidnapped perhaps. We found a bloated corpse. Is this tattoo familiar to you?
Okay, so the monkeys are dead.
Some of them.
The monkeys that protect the island are dead
Some of them.
and missing.
It appears as though someone may have taken them from the island. 2 of them we found dead in the sanctuary. The trail led out towards the north, towards the whaling shores.
Which are not pleasant to stay at, by the way. Don't do it.
She just like heavy sigh and then heads back over to the tree and just kind of leans against it. Just like. So the monkeys that protect the island are gone.
From best that we can tell, they were taken either at the time or shortly before the apparitions started showing up at the festival.
Yeah. The festival. They were taken from where? They were taken from where?
From
How were they taken?
How we do not know. From where was their sanctuary, presumably.
How many people that you know of from this island that would know where to look for the monkeys?
The only one I knew of was Cryon. They've gotta be... They don't let people get close to them. You gotta get real familiar. But the festival... Do you think that's why it rained?
I am not familiar with the monkeys controlling the weather.
But you said Yimari normally brings good weather. That torrential downpour at the opening ceremony
Could have been her tears.
could have been a warning.
And the picture is broadening at this point, I suppose.
Somebody planned this.
You'd
Yes.
have to. You can't just...
Can't just show up and take the monkeys.
No, there are safeguards. I mean, they couldn't possibly come through Mosswick. There's a big sign when you come in. You can't touch the monkeys. The monkeys are sacred. There's no... You all saw it when you got here.
Someone who knew the island would have told them that the whaling shores are very desolate. They'd have a straight pass through the jungle without
And
running into
Clearly
anyone.
they did not all make it.
Yeah, how did they even traverse that kind of ship?
I think someone on the island is helping them. Someone who knows the area.
We found this in the sanctuary. And he's gonna unwrap the blade and show her the blade.
She takes it, like, looks at it. Okay. Was it used to kill them?
It was left as a warning.
A warning? I mean, the warning is that the monkeys are gone. What do you mean?
Looks like they made a threat to Ayla's people. The Red Circle.
To the folks in Briarburn.
That is what I interpret it as.
Why?
Don't call it that.
Summerland. Sorry. But why? This isn't making much sense to me.
Why, I do not know.
She hands it back to you.
What about this tattoo? Are you familiar with this?
Tattoo? Like you're showing her a piece of paper, right?
The drawing.
Right,
I
but
thought, I
it's...
thought you took the skin.
That's what,
No,
yeah, that's what I was
This
Yeah.
leathery
Arm.
skin, do
Not
you
this
know what
one.
this
should have, like I said, deglove the whole hand and bring the skin hand. Could have filled it with seawater, tied it off like a balloon.
Oh gosh.
Somebody acts up, you hit him with it. That's
we
Eldon's
don't play
mage
that.
hand. That's Eldon's mage hand.
You get thirsty, you cut off a fingertip.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Too
No.
much. Too far.
So,
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Such a shit movie.
I was gonna say, what a terrible movie.
so she says, this tattoo, I'm going to need a little bit more. Like, where did you see this? How big was it? What part of the body? What?
It was on their wrist. Appeared to be one of somebody's boat crashed on the whaling shores.
Presumably a kidnapper, at least I'm blanking on the word, accomplice.
An accomplice.
There is no other reason for someone to have business up there.
Well, I've never seen it before.
Do I
Tattoo.
believe her?
Roll an insight check.
Here's my insight. That is a 6 or a 9. Oh no. There's no line.
There's no line.
Should be a dot
Is there a dot?
or a line.
I get 6 and 9. They're the same.
Or is there like the framing? Is there a top and bottom in the frame
It's too
around it?
decorative to tell.
It is oriented differently. Is the flat part, you think, the bottom? And then the 9 would be that.
No, you're right. Okay.
It was this one. I think,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Alright, 9. 10, 11.
Okay. Hard to tell.
It's a little tricky.
She,
They're right next to each other.
you're kind of looking at her face. You don't believe that there's any reason for her to necessarily. But now that you're suspicious of everyone, but you can't really tell. It's dark.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
That's
it's
a 6.
you have to
It's flat.
you have to
That's a 9.
keep
Right,
it as a
yeah.
pyramid so
Yeah.
that the point goes to the top.
But at first glance, I can see.
Yeah,
why you're
there's no way to tell.
I mean, tattoos, they can mean anything. Lots of people have tattoos.
Yeah, there's no organization that you're aware of with this symbol.
I mean, I'm from, not where I'm from. Not here. I haven't seen this here.
Well, this is the information that we will bring back, and we'll go onward to Mosswick.
Okay. I don't
What
know.
they do with it, I have no idea. Oh, and something about the creatures dropping from the sky, perhaps?
I've heard them kind of crawling along the ground. I mean, again, some of them could have been the boars or the birds that are native here, but heard some flying around, bigger than the hummingbirds.
We've run into strange flies. Large.
Oh, right, those ones, yeah. I was not interested in fighting those.
It's not fun.
I bet. Well, so here's the thing. I mean, I'm not a politician or anything, but when we're going back to Balsted. You want to go back to? Okay. Maybe don't broadcast that the monkeys are gone. We don't want to cause a panic.
No, we will not be walking into town yelling it.
I'm just.
Only who needs to know. We have to press on.
Yeah. I don't know what's happened, but since we've been gone, I mean, but yeah, we might want to let the higher ups kind of figure out that message. Causes a lot of people to panic if they think they're here safely and there's no hope of that being true. It's really bad. She looks out into the darkness of the jungle all around you all and is like, I'm gonna go back up there. And unless Cryon kicks me out.
We will be here in the morning.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay.
Does she mean hope so?
I will, she just holds up the letter that you gave and is like, oh no, she gave it back to you. She's like, okay, well, all right, I'll see you in the morning.
Sleep
Okay.
well.
I will, you too. She hops back up into the tree.
Funny if Cryon was like, no.
The door's locked.
Flintstones, they kick Dino out. No, it's the cat. It's the saber-toothed cat in the credits. They kick out.
All right.
Back
You
into
all,
the
again,
window.
it is another evening of rest. So I'm just going to have you roll. We'll do three different watches. So you can roll a D100 3 times.
Who's the 3?
No, don't look at me.
I'll roll
I'm
one.
doing it.
You're gonna do it.
Dude, her dice jumped
It
out of her
flew
tray.
26.
Okay. So the first watch goes by with no issue. You think you hear things off in the distance, but nothing gets close enough. You just kind of keep coming back to that slime trail behind the tree, just continuing to look at it, and it's just disturbing. All right, another D100.
Let's find out what happens. $46.
Okay. Second watch. You look up through the canopy as what you can see of the stars. It's a clear night because the heat from the sun has just burned away all of the clouds. There's no worry about any downpours today. The second watch goes by, no issues. It's kind of a muggy evening, a muggy night. Last D100. You gotta break the curse.
Roll a 1, we're not friends anymore.
Statistically,
one,
since
you're
you
not
roll a
allowed
1,
here.
it's less likely than
not
the rest of
It's
us.
more like you roll a 1, we're not friends with you anymore.
34. I thought it was an 84, but it's a 34.
Okay.
Okay. That thing was scaring me. Hovering over my fucking soul for a while.
This night goes by with no issues. There's a lot of strange sounds out in the jungle, but they could be native sounds, they could be crazy sounds. Hard to tell for the majority of you who are not typically out here. But the morning comes. Kaelin comes down and begins to lead you out. Cryon, he does come down right before it's time for you to go, and just doesn't really have much to say. As you're gathering your stuff, there's this... You get the impression he doesn't feel awkward about it at all, like not even a tiny little bit, but there's like a somewhat awkward moment of you all standing there looking at him, and he's standing there, and Gerard is sitting down, impossibly like white fur in a lot of places, a little bit of like that yellow undertone, and they're both just sitting there looking at you all as there's this, the hermit who's going to stay behind and be here, not going anywhere. This is where he will be, and the rest of you who are like, who knows where you're off to. And he just stands there as you all turn and begin walking back into the jungle.
This is a proper horror movie. He's gonna get eaten the second you're out of your shot.
Before we go, can I ask a question about something?
Yeah.
If I were to summon a wild companion, which is similar to like a find familiar sort of, yeah, it is find familiar. How far can that go from me if I'm like looking through its eyes? Is there like a distance it can go? Because it doesn't say on my little thingy.
I think on normal find
like a
familiar, it's
mile.
100 feet that you can telepathically, but see through their eyes. I'm not sure the distance.
Oh, right.
Wild companion.
Yeah.
Let us see, as you all begin to walk back into the jungle, trying to follow the path that you had made with Kaelin as you went.
The reason I was asking was I keep thinking about like that slime trail, and if I could summon something to follow the trail for us a certain distance and see if they can see anything without us having to follow the trail, but just like a quick,
Gotcha.
like how far can it run, and then tell me what it sees.
Gotcha.
Next
Okay.
time we come back to Cryon's lair, it's gonna be on fire. His moisture evaporators are just burning in the sun, and there's just
Him and Gerard,
burnt
yeah.
skeletons laying outside. There's nothing left for me here.
For some reason, I just kicked into my mind the bad lip. You ever hear the bad lip reading song that they made for that?
I probably did,
49 times we
Yeah.
fought that beast. The old man and me.
So
It was a chicken head with death.
it doesn't say that the familiar can't be further away. It's just that within 100 feet, you can see through its eyes. You can like cast a touch spell through it. You could send it off, but then anything after 100 feet, you have no idea what will happen to it.
But if it survived and came back to me, it could tell me telepathically what it saw?
You could... So the chances of it finding you would be very unlikely,
Okay.
unless it knows exactly where you are.
Okay.
But if you can, you should be able to bring it back to you. You just wouldn't know when it's done with its mission, per se.
Okay.
So you could always say, like, I want you to go do this thing, and I will summon you back to me in an hour, and whatever you found in the hour, then I'll be able to communicate with. But you lose contact with it after that 100 feet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you
Do you
can't
think that's
say, like,
worth
follow
doing, I
this to
guess?
the end, and next we meet,
Right.
or
I
meet
could
me at here.
Or I could see like how far I can see if there's anything within 100 feet, potentially.
Right.
I don't know if you guys think that's like worth doing or not, but
I mean,
something I would be willing to try.
it doesn't hurt. 100 feet is actually not as far as you might be thinking it is.
No, yeah.
But
Yeah, it's not very far.
And while you look through its eyes, you're blind and deafened.
Oh,
in your
right.
body.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it'd be, yeah.
so you gotta be like piggybacking on somebody if we're walking through the jungle.
I definitely think it's a really cool idea. I just don't know if it's applicable.
You could send it off.
Right.
You just won't be able to see through, and then you'd have to summon it back.
Is it concentration or anything, or is it just
Nope.
Well, yeah, you can cast it and then just resummon it in like 3 days. Hey, what'd you find?
Oh, does that work like that?
Until or unless it hits 0 hit points.
Well, it's not you're picking like a already existing animal. You're not
Yeah.
summoning like a spirit.
It's a fae instead of a beast
but
for
the-
this.
I don't
okay.
think I think the wild companion only lasts as long as your wild shape would last.
Yeah, it's like used in place of a wild shape.
So
Yeah.
it's not like regular fine familiar that
It
just
just
stays
disappears
up.
after a number of hours equal to half your druid level.
400 feet.
So,
So
for
it'd be
you, it would
1
be
hour.
1 hour. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can potentially do that.
'Cause you
If
could
you don't
form
want
them
to, I can send
into
Nyx
a
for 100
bird.
feet.
Well, we're emotionally invested in Nyx. I can make something that I won't miss.
You could make something that's a bird,
Sorry, I can resummon
so
them.
they could fly.
True.
So,
Well,
I mean-
can they see the trail though? They'd have to be able to fly and see the trail.
Yeah, that's the
Fly low.
thing.
I was gonna do
They
like a
have to stay
ferret or
close
something
enough.
that could like just go
No,
really
that
fast.
has
Ferret, that's a
offered
good
to send
one.
ferrets,
Yeah.
not
Good one.
even
Or weasel,
once.
like that kind
Like,
of thing.
nope.
I feel like would be good at. I don't know.
I'd be willing to go with Nyx for a
What-
little bit.
I was gonna say, would Iolite want Theratrix to go with?
No.
I was gonna
I
say,
don't want
he
it.
didn't offer, but
Well, I don't want to send anything that I care
if
about.
this is
This is a suicide mission.
This is
damn
like
it.
that they might
I
not
can
come back.
resummon Theratrix for free once
That's
a day.
true. I say it's a good idea. Put it in your pocket and
Okay.
then revisit it.
All right, that sounds good.
I like the out of the box thinking though. I didn't realize it was only for the hour, or whatever it was. If it was like a,
It's fine familiar, but without the material components. Summoning Nyx is very expensive.
Yes.
So, very
I thought it was like, hi there, little squirrel. We're friends now. Do my bidding.
Although if it's a fae instead
It's
of a
like
beast, is
animal
it
friends.
like what is it? What is a fae?
it would be it could be
fairy?
a fae creature of your choosing.
Huh.
I would probably limit it because you don't know that many fae, but it also would be a lesser fae anyway because
like a
they're
Gerard.
tiny.
Gerard
Gerard is pretty,
Oh, my own
pretty
Gerard.
epic.
You can have your own Gerard.
Be like a fae ant, because like I feel like most self-respecting fae wouldn't just allow themselves to be summoned and be like, do this for me. It's like, sure, mortal on this lesser plane.
Like a Gerard, but it's like a weasel on one end and like
Yeah.
a turtle on the other end or something. Not the most practical
Right.
fae creature. All right,
So
well,
it's like a weasel.
we'll,
and a
we'll table
flamingo.
that.
So
Yeah.
flamingo.
Table that
Flamingo
idea.
Weasel with these like really big
I was gonna
awkward
say,
legs.
which end is on top, though? What's the
We
head?
just get a little cat dog, and they both sides are trying to walk in the opposite direction.
I'm picturing like you know those remote controlled cars that can flip over and keep driving, except it's like a weasel, and then it hits something and flips over, and the turtle starts walking instead.
It honestly could just be a ferret, though.
A
They
fey
kind of
ferret.
do act like that.
A fey ferret.
Fae ferret just
Yeah.
weasel their way through the dimensional windows.
I've seen mine do the full flip. When I had them, they do a full flip, land on their ass, and then just be fine and keep running. Like literally, they'd be running like bobber bodies this way, and they'd be like in a knot. It's weird. I'm like,
Yeah, they do look like they have no bones.
they don't. You can literally put their ass behind their head, and you won't even notice. And they're like, I don't care. Like, I know. You're weird.
They're crazy.
So ferret's a good choice. And they're good
Save that
kleptos.
idea in my
They're
pocket.
great kleptos too if you need to steal something.
Ooh, all right.
Great kleptos.
So
Her ferret stole my GameCube controller and
Wow.
brought it underneath the bed and made a hole into the box spring, and so it had so much. I only found out after she took the second controller, because I was like, I used to have 4 GameCube controllers. Where is my 4th?
She
And
stole
then-
something like 12 pairs of my underwear too.
Yeah, because
Oh,
she
There's
would
a lot in
go.
that box.
She would go.
Yeah.
No,
A
she would go
lot.
under the dresser, and then climb up
Behind
behind
it?
the drawers, like but inside it, and climb up
steal my
behind
shit.
them, and then
impressive.
start pulling things out.
Great kleptos, anything shiny.
We still can't find your keys that you lost that time.
No, I lost 2 pairs of keys because of ferrets, and I still never found
You
them.
guys had?
Yeah, I still lost 2 cassettes, and I still never found them.
Take everything.
Been over 15 years, so I have no idea. They're gone.
They'll turn up.
Little mischievous
So
things.
you all head off into the jungle with Kaelin, leaving behind Cryon just standing there as you depart, and backs turned towards him and his companion.
Godspeed, Chiron.
So, heading back the way that you came, you do your best to chop through already existing, like this jungle, these wilds are obviously magical in some fashion, but the path that you cut through, you can already see that the jungle is trying to like reclaim it. So it's not necessarily as rough as it was on your way through the first time, but it's almost kind of shocking. It's only been a day and a half, 2 days before you're turning right back around and going back where you came, and it's like everything is trying to come back in where it was and fill in all this greenery that you chopped through. Make a survival check. We're going to aid Kaelin as she's trying to get you home as quickly as possible. So,
We're all doing it.
yeah, let's do successes versus failures. So,
'Cause I
21.
probably won't have another chance.
okay.
14.
Okay.
It's a little better. 12. I use my inspired action.
Okay.
Did we all throw our inspired actions down on the table?
We've,
Oh.
I
So
think,
you
all
can
used-
put like a d20 there when you have it and take one off when you don't. Might be easier than throwing it.
Oh,
Is that what you
That's
have it?
fun.
I like throwing it like it's like
poker chip.
like a poker chip. Yeah.
10
10.
and 10. All right. So you all, the path that you took is a lot more overgrown than you thought. And with Kaelin leading, you are making your way through fairly okay, but it is slower going than you had hoped. Like, there was a thought of like, oh, we'll just go back the way we came and it'll be fine. But the jungles have had other ideas. And so you're much more slowly working your way through back in an attempt to get to the edge of the river where that boat is waiting for you.
I forgot about that fucking river.
Oh,
So let's check the weather, shall we? Who wants to roll a deal? No, I'll do it. I'll do it. Never mind. We'll get through this. Okay. The scorching heat that you had yesterday is not as bad today. So you continue through. What's slowing you down is definitely the jungle trying to slow you down. And at a certain point around maybe midday, you bypass. She takes you like a different way. She tells you that she's not going to take you to the springs. Like, we're going to go past the Spirit Falls. We're not going to go that way. It was kind of a little bit of a deviation. Now we're trying to get home. You cut through past the Spirit Falls. You can just barely kind of hear faint the crashing of water off in the distance. And sorry, one more roll. About midday, you hear this very different sound. Like, there's all of the rustling, there's the buzzing of the hummingbirds. You've gotten used to trying to listen out for that, like, very heavy buzzing of those strange fly creatures. This, you hear this rustling off to the side, and Kaelin stops you all again, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're so close to the river. We're so close. But you hear that? And you do. You hear this very strange rustling that it's like it stopped when you stopped, And then you start walking a little bit again, and you can hear it begins following you.
It's like velociraptors in the woods.
Awesome.
And it doesn't take too much longer. You get to a point where you're just like, okay, we're gonna kind of quickly walk. The river is like very close by, so you start to cut through, and just whatever noise you're making is, she's like, it's right there. You can start to hear the rushing of the water. So you cut through and push your way out of the river, out of the jungle to the river that's right in front of you. You can see the rushing waters. It's going a bit faster than it was when you were on your way out. Maybe it's because that like scorching heat melted some of the snow up at the top of Mount Yimari, but it's a little bit, rushing further. So she runs over and is like, come help me, somebody, let's go, to pull that boat out from where it was. She's like, I can only bring 2 at a time.
I'll stay.
I'll stay.
I'll stay.
You two can go.
Who two?
You two go.
Us two?
You and you. Get on the boat now.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the two of you come over. You see that Kaylin is like trying to tie that leather strap to the rope. As she looks, the rope is still intact across the whole river. And as she's doing that, like, you're helping her pull the boat over, tie it all up, get the leather strap, and then you hear this very low, strange, like, growl that comes from behind you in the jungle. And Kaylin stops and just stands up, like, fuck. And then you all turn around and look, and you see, coming out of the jungle, hunched over on all fours, or at least what looks like all fours, this thin, skeletal-looking, dog-like creature with a long, thin tail. This matted, but like somewhat almost like dreaded. It's so matted and scraggly like hair just hanging off of the front. There's a face in there somewhere. You see these sharp teeth, but it's kind of covered by all of this hair, hunched over with the spine, all of the dark black little chunks of fur that are kind of almost sticking up like spines, but not quite. And it's just dripping this black ooze of some kind, or this ichor as it just comes out. A creature that you have never seen before emerges from the jungle.
Freaking washer lint.
It does look like something you would pull out of a drain.
It does. It looks like a shower drain.
Yeah, it looks like every hairball I pull out of the salon sink, every single one of them.
And you all face off as this creature, just like low growl. You can see like its teeth kind of bearing underneath whatever all of this dripping wet black hair is. And that's where we're gonna stop.
With nightmares of the hairball. Ugh.